Yes, I pulled up my quiz, what I got wrong. So I had a hard time with the honey.
Okay, let's start with the honey. Okay, stop for a second. Okay. So that's what I'm looking for. It's gonna be some constructive criticism, okay?
Okay.
So I notice sometimes when you send me an email or when we're doing Zoom calls like this, sometimes you have a tendency just to like unload all the stuff, right? And so I understand that you might be feeling some kind of anxiety or some kind of level like that, but if you can find a way to kind of focus on one thing at a time. So even in an email, if you want to do different paragraphs for, different concerns, it's going to help me a lot to help you. And then also it's going to help, your communication in the future. So sometimes if a teacher asks you and you just unload all this stuff on them, then they're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's so much stuff. I don't even know where to begin. But if you just say, I'm having an issue with honey, okay, let's work on this. And then we're going to ask, hopefully the teacher will ask you, what else can I help you with? And then we can go one issue by issue. That will really help. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. So let's focus on honey. So talk me through your process.
Um, so for the honey, I know the cost for the honey is $19.02, and that's 5 pounds.
Okay.
And we need 1 cup of honey.
Okay.
What I know is that like this is where I got a little bit confused. Because I thinking like honey is liquid. So I was trying to rethink: is it liquid or is it a solid? And that's where the issue came by, which I tried to use the volume to weight converter, and I got my answer. I also got the wrong. So this is where the part I got extremely confused if the honey is liquid or a solid.
Okay. Did you get my email response to that?
Yes,
Okay.
and I did check.
So when you did the honey, what did you get for 1 cup? What equivalent did you get for honey when you did 1 cup on the website?
So on the website, I got, what can I remember? I got like 11.86.
11.86. Okay. Okay. So if you look at the screen, I have 11.96. Okay. But which of these two numbers should we use?
Um,
Should we use ounces or should we use pounds?
the pound,
Why the pounds?
because we're trying to match. Because the $19.02, because it says 5 pounds and we have 1 cup.
There you go. Awesome.
Okay. And also, I see the way that you type it in the website, because the way I did when I keep on getting different number wrong, the question was to me like which honey that we use, and I do see you put 1 cup of honey. Of course, I put that right, and in the food category, it says generic. I believe I keep on putting generic and brand.
Ah,
So
yeah.
getting different numbers, I believe.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of those. Yeah, so I would recommend unless the semester project notes say to do generic and branded, I would always do generic. So that might be what's that?
For all of the ingredients,
For every I would do generic for every ingredient unless the semester project notes specifically say use generic and branded. So let's take a look at that. right? So if we look on the chicken marinade, the cumin says to select generic and branded. But if it does not say generic or and branded, I would always do generic. Okay. So let me give you some advice on something that you can do until this becomes second nature. Okay.
Mhm.
When I was a server at TGI Fridays, I used to forget to ask my guests how they wanted their steaks prepared because back then, when I was 18 years old, I didn't eat a lot of steak. And so it didn't make sense to me to remember to ask. So my boss, she put a neon index card in my folder, my little order taker folder, that said steak with a question mark and then temperature. And so maybe what I recommend you do is let me go back to my whiteboard. Um, Hold on, resets. Open. Okay. So what I might recommend that you do is do like a little checklist, right? So when you have volume to weight website, okay? Maybe do a checklist on a little piece of paper that says generic. And then you can do a little check mark to say, yes, it's on generic. And then maybe do something like, sorry, my handwriting's awful. Check AP, um, what's the word I'm looking for? AP, um, unit. That's what I want. Okay. So check AP unit. And so that will tell you to remind yourself, because like right now on the phone call, you were able to tell me do the pounds because the honey is already in 5 pounds, right? So sometimes if I'm not here to answer your questions, and this happens to students all the time, right? Sometimes it helps just to talk things through. And so that's why I'm always here during office hours or by appointment if needed. But maybe having this little like index card that has a checklist that will kind of help slow your brain down just a little bit until you get to the point because I think sometimes you're going a little quick and this is just me with my perception, okay, so I don't know if this is accurate or not, only you can decide, but sometimes I feel like you're going through it really quickly and so you forget these little steps that will help you be successful. But it's okay because every time you make a mistake, we learn from that mistake and then that we don't do it again, right? And so eventually this is a new concept to you. And so eventually it's going to become second nature for you. But right now you're still in the learning process. And so it's okay to make mistakes. But maybe have like some kind of like checklist like this for you so that way you can remember that.
Yeah, the reason why like my mind is like fast paced so much. I have ADHD,
Okay.
so it's harder for me to like focus on like one thing at a time. And I do get stressed out very easy, like very quick, and that's where I scatter like so much and really talk so fast. So, and I do like pile up things to people. That's why I'm trying my like hardest, like keep a reminder in my head. Like I said this, like let me fix it, let me do this, let me do that, and then at the end of the day, I end up forgetting the little stuff. So that's why when I saw you, like the way I explained, like I did okay, and the way that you like set up everything, like oh okay, now I see what I did was wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So we're good. So I think we're good on honey. What's the next ingredient?
The next ingredient, what did I? Okay. So the next ingredient it is. So the next ingredient is cilantro. Sorry.
Okay. So talk me through that process for cilantro.
Okay. Sure. So for the price of the cilantro, it costs $1.10, and that's 1 ounce.
Okay.
And for that, we need, what is it? We need 1.5 cup
1/2
of
cup.
it. Yes.
Okay. And so then what process did you do from this point?
The progress what I did from this point, I think I did use the volume to weight converter.
Okay. So let's take a look at that. Okay. So let's actually, before we do that, let's double check the Chef Tech inventory list. Um, okay, so let's look for cilantro. Okay. So let me share my screen. I think you're just looking at my whiteboard. Here we go. Okay, so cilantro. What is the cilantro being used for in the recipe? Let's take a look. Chicken marinade. So it's looking for 1/2 cup of cilantro leaves, whole chopped. Okay. So does what kind of cilantro do you think we are buying if it's asking for leaves that are whole and chopped?
Mm,
Are we looking for something we might find as a spice in the spice aisle at the grocery store, or do you think we're looking for cilantro that we'll find in the produce section?
the spices?
Okay, so if something is a spice, that means it's dried out, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how are we going to chop dried out spices?
Oh,
Okay,
in the produce.
there we go. Yep. So if we look at the Chef Tech inventory list, cilantro, you have the 165 per ounce. But if we look at around here, we're gonna probably see okay, so we've got herbs there, but then if we look here, cilantro fresh is $1.30 per bunch. Okay. So it's always a good idea if you notice on the cilantro, when I do a search for cilantro, it says that cilantro appears 3 times here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter all 3 times. So you have the $1.10 per ounce, $1.30 per bunch. Okay. And so that's gonna, if we take a look at this and we look at our semester project notes, it says there's 1 cup of chopped cilantro leaves in a bunch. Okay. So what word do you see duplicated in both of those, the Chef Tech inventory list and the semester project notes related to the cilantro?
Mm, sorry, I got real lost real quick.
Okay. So on the cilantro, right, I have 130 per bunch. And if I look at the semester project notes, it tells me there's 1 cup in a bunch, right? And so then if I go back to, oh, hold on. Let's go back to my whiteboard. Okay. So let's first do $1.30 per bunch, right? We need 1/2 cup. Our semester projects note says there's basically 1 cup of chopped leaves in a bunch, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what we can do is take that information and we can either say there's 130 per cup, right? Because if one bunch equals 1 cup of leaves, that's a conversion. Okay. And then if it's 130 per cup and we need half a cup, then we can do our math. Our units are already the same. And bonus, I already have 1 unit. I don't have to divide anything because it's already 130 for 1 unit.
So for this, um, so the purchase amount, do I put like a bunch, like a dollar? Sorry, a dollar per bunch.
$1.30 per bunch. Yeah, that's the purchase amount from the Chef Tech inventory list, right? And then you can cross out the word bunch and you can put the word cup because that's what the conversion tells you in the semester project notes. So if you had taken a picture of this right here and sent it to me in an email and I saw 110 per ounce, then I could easily send you an email back and say, double check the Chef Tech inventory list. You need to figure out you need to change the as purchased, right? So and so you've done that. You've sent me pictures and that's great. So this something like this would be really helpful to be able to give you that instant feedback via email instead of having to wait until office hours time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For the amount that we need, so we put a half a cup. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, uh, so my other question, when I put the recipe cost, so I just put it $1.30 cup, and
Yep.
how would I
Yes.
half a cup?
Well, what is half as a decimal?
0.5?
Yes. 0.5. Yep. So then you just multiply 130 times 0.5, and that gives you your dollar amount.
Okay. So I think I did all the Zoom. I'm right back in now.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm back in. And that's okay. What else? Okay, now I understand when it comes to the chive, and also when it comes to putting the information on the volume weight converter as well.
Okay.
And isn't that also the same thing for the jalapenos? Because for the jalapenos, it's extra mint.
Yes. So again, check the semester project notes. I'm showing that it says to use the volume to weight conversion, search for jalapeno, and then select the raw jalapeno sliced option. So that's going to tell you what I specifically used for this project, because that way, that's the whole purpose of the semester project notes, is because sometimes as I cost out the recipe myself, I want to make sure that you're using the same numbers as I did, so that way you get as close as possible to the same answer you arrive. But if you were to do this, if you had your own business, then you would go with if you wanted to get fresh jalapenos, and you would just follow that. But in the case of this project, I'm telling you what I did to make sure that your math, right? Because what I'm testing here is your process and your math. Once you go off and have your own business and you cost out your own recipes, or either in future classes when you have to cost out recipes, you'll be able to utilize whatever source of ingredients you use, but at least you'll know the process.
Okay. 'Cause when I did the jalapeno, so the price for that is 88 cents, and the 88 cents slash 7 ounces, and that calls for 3 tablespoons. So when I went to the volume to weight conversion website, it gave me a 0.69 ounces.
Okay, so let's take a look. I'm following along. And what was the measurement for the recipe measurement for jalapenos?
3 tablespoons.
Okay. And so for 3 tablespoons, you got how much?
It showed me it came out to 0.69 ounces.
Okay. Let's take a look and see. Okay, so 0.69, it looks like canned, solid, and liquids. So you have that word sliced, but what I said on the semester project notes is to use the raw jalapeno sliced option. So that's just a matter of selecting the wrong one from the Chef Tech inventory. Okay, and you're off by 0.09. That maybe doesn't seem like a whole lot, but if you're using 3 tablespoons, then that could or if depending on what the cost is, that could play a role in the difference. Now, let's go back to our menu, and we need 3 tablespoons of jalapeno minced. Okay. Um, if we are mincing the jalapeno, chances are we're using fresh jalapenos. Okay. So again, if we look at our Chef Tech inventory list and we look at where we are, if we look at jalapeno slice, which you have 88 cents for 7 ounces, right? If we look at the surrounding items, these items, hearts of palm, honey, horseradish, hot sauce, key lime juice, lemon extract, macadamia nuts, those seem like all dry things that you'd find in the pantry, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then that means this jalapeno sliced probably is in a can. And so we want to make sure that we look at these sections, and these look like more produce items. And so this would be 70 cents per pound. So I think if you use the 70 cents per pound, and then we go back to here and use the 0.04 pounds, I think you'd be more successful. Okay.
So for this in case, so 0.70 cents per pound and then 0.4 pounds. Is that correct?
0.04 pounds.
0.04 pounds?
Yes. Yeah. So what I would recommend is if you're looking at a recipe, okay, and it says, let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. Okay. So when you see a recipe like this and you see 3 tablespoons of jalapenos, I would automatically assume that that is a fresh jalapeno. Okay. The only time that it would, if it's not a fresh ingredient, then it would say canned jalapenos or pickled jalapenos, right? So I want you to start getting your mind thinking that as you're looking at recipes, that is, if it says an item that's traditionally a produce item, like bell peppers or let's say jalapenos or onions, you're gonna automatically think that that's a fresh ingredient, all right? if somebody says, let's look at our let's take a quick break real quick from this recipe and let's look at our bread. Okay, so here it makes it pretty clear. It says all-purpose flour, right? In the bread recipe. But if someone just says take 4 cups of flour, what kind of flour do you automatically think it is?
All-purpose flour.
Exactly, right? So if we just say flour, it's going to be that. If they wanted you to use bread flour, then they would say bread flour. So the same things like that. So these red bell peppers, we're going to assume that that's a produce item. And the only time that it's not is if it specifically says, so like canned jalapenos, jarred jalapenos, things like that. Okay. So just kind of get, and again, this goes back to you getting experience with this. And so this is your time to make mistakes because what I don't want you to do is make mistakes in a later class. And I don't want you to make mistakes when you actually have your business or you're on the job and make your mistake. Your time to make mistakes are now so that you can learn from those to be successful in the future.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So we've got jalapenos. We've covered jalapenos. What else? We covered the um, honey, eh,
Covered the honey. Um.
and the cilantro. Okay. So we
Yes,
got those
the
three.
cilantro.
Cool. And then I like what you said. I like what you said a few moments ago that you're going to take the information from the cilantro leaves that we talked about and you're going to apply that to the chives that you saw. So that's awesome that you recognize that and you can see that connection. That's exactly what I want to see. So good job on that.
Okay. Let's see what else. Let's see what else. Oh, so that's also the same thing for the I just saw that for the garlic clove mice. So that's all I'm assuming is fresh garlic clove.
Yep.
And as for that, when I was trying to go through the inventory, it didn't give me a price for like garlic cloves, so I just went to like straight to the garlic price, and now the garlic price is like $4.50 and 1 ounce. I just want to make sure if I got that one correctly.
Say that one more time.
So for the garlic clove, it asked for mice, and I said that it asked for fresh one, fresh garlic. And in my mind, I did this before. I want to assume like the inventory will have garlic clove mice.
Gotcha.
I've been going through the inventory to find that specifically, but I couldn't find it because I thought it wasn't there, so I went straight to just the garlic,
Yeah.
and that's where I got the $4 slash 1 ounce.
For what? So do me a favor. Let's look at the Chef Tech inventory. And what does it say for garlic?
Inventory. It's slowly on my end.
Okay. But can you see my screen?
Oh yeah, I can see it now. It's actually $4.50 slash pound.
There we go. Okay. So that you were saying ounce. And so it's 4.50 per pound. And so what that's saying is that's $4.50 per pound of like a big bulb of garlic, which is made up of a whole bunch of cloves, right? So the individual cloves are on the inside of the bulb of garlic. So you did good. You assumed that was fresh garlic, so that's good. And then our semester project notes say that 1 clove of garlic is 0.1 ounce.
Yeah.
Okay.
1.1 ounce. And
Correct.
in this recipe, it calls for three tablespoons of garlic clove.
Okay. So in this case, if we are, let me get my annotation, AP to recipe, 450 per pound, and we need 3 tablespoons. Okay, so in this case, we're going from weight to volume. Okay, so that means we need to use the website on this one. I think I may have told you differently because I did not realize it was 3 tablespoons. Okay, if we look at what was the other one? Semester project notes. I guess the velouté, but let's look at that. 3, 4. Oh yeah. That recipe we're not even gonna do. The velouté sauce, we're not doing that recipe. So I need to prevent confusion.
Yeah, that was the part I was really confused with. That's where I ended up trying to convert that tablespoon of 3 tablespoons into ounces.
Yeah, so let's go to garlic cloves. I'm just gonna take garlic cloves out of this particular one. I think I had in the past a student that said garlic cloves. It was in both recipes, but I didn't look to see that it was tablespoons. So yeah, so that one you would use the chef tech inventory, and so we want to use raw garlic, and that will tell us 0.06 pounds. And that's going to keep me from having to convert this 450 for 1 pound down to the cost of an ounce. So let's just, while I have you on the Zoom, let's double check that. 450 times 0.06 comes out to 27 cents. So let's check that one. Quizzes. This is the Texas pecan honey sauce. 27 cents for garlic. Wait, no, this is the chicken marinade. Sorry, the chicken wrong quiz. Chicken marinade. 27 cents for garlic. Yep, there we go. We're good. So just to recap, based on this, we know that this 3 tablespoons equals 0.06 pounds. Okay, and so then 450 per pound, because that's one recipe unit, they're the same, times 0.06 is equal to 27 cents. All right. Excellent. What next? Any other ingredients that are giving you problems?
The other ingredients that was giving me a problem, let me double check. I know the bacon is one of them.
Okay.
You can put the recipe real quick. I feel like I might put in some information wrong while I was doing the math.
Okay.
About the bacon to see which one I got. What's wrong on the bacon? I know bacon's one of them. That's definitely for sure.
Okay. So talk me through your process of what you did for bacon. Just the math itself.
So the bacon. Let me also pull that. I'm putting up my other work I did for
Okay.
homework. Okay. I'll throw the bacon first before I go on to the next one. So for the bacon, it's asked for 20 strips, and the ingredients for that, the ingredients for the bacon is $106.06 slash 25 pounds.
Okay, so hold on, let me get back to my 106. Sorry, what was it for 25 pounds?
It was $106.06 slash 25 pounds.
Okay, cool. And we need 20 strips.
Yeah.
Cool. And what does the semester project note say about the strips?
So the semester project note says, loading again. I did see it says 54 ounces.
How many ounces?
54 ounces.
Okay. How many ounces are in 1 pound?
How many ounces are in one?
That's a conversion you need to memorize and be able to answer very quickly. So how many ounces are in 1 pound?
It will be how many ounces in 1 pound?
Yes.
It's 0.0625.
Nope. 1 pound equals how many ounces? There we go. Perfect. Okay. So this is what I'm just kind of going off of what you just told me. Okay. Based on the semester project notes, you said that 1 strip of bacon equals 54 ounces. Okay. That's what I heard. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if that's 54 ounces, so if I divide, this has nothing to do with the bacon. Okay. So I'm just kind of showing you how sometimes we need to kind of think through the numbers that we're using.
Mhm.
If I do 54 divided by 16, that is 3.375. So when you tell me that 1 strip of bacon weighs 54 ounces, you're telling me that 1 strip of bacon weighs 3 pounds. Does that sound right?
No.
No, that's a massive strip of bacon, right? That's a huge strip. So let's go back to the semester project notes and let's look really closely and see what it says about the bacon weight.
Okay. Question: why is there a slanted? The one that says in green. Are we adding?
No, I'm waiting for you to tell me how much 1 strip of bacon weighs based on the semester project notes.
Oh, okay. So on the semester project note, it says bacon. One slice of bacon is the average of your. Oh. 54 point ounces.
There we go. 54.54 ounces per strip. Okay. So when we multiply, what's 20 times 0.54? That's one. Oh, I think I did the wrong math. 20 times 0.54, 10.8 ounces. Okay. And now we have ounces and pounds, and now you can do the conversions to get what we need to multiply. Okay. So again, sometimes this takes some practice of like, okay, I went really quickly and I didn't see that point, the decimal in the 0.54. So if I'm thinking that's 54 ounces, right? 54 is definitely above 16. That means it's more than 1 pound for one strip of bacon. That doesn't seem very right. And so that's why I wrote it in red on the screen, because red means it's wrong. It should have been 0.54. Okay. So again, like if you had taken a picture of this right here, if you had taken a picture of this right here and it had said, let me do it in red so we know it's not right, 54 ounces and 20 times 54, 1,080 ounces. So if you had taken a picture of this, I would have been like, oh, that's the error. And I can figure out what that error is.
And then right after this, we divide the $106.06 divide that by 25. Is that correct?
You can do that, yes.
Okay.
But if
When I divide that, I got $4.24.
Okay, so that should be 425, remember? Because we always round up to the nearest penny.
Okay.
Now, can you multiply that by the 10.8 ounces?
No, because that's not in pound. Is that correct?
Correct, exactly. Good. So now we have to get our units to be the same. So which number, hold on, let me clear some of this out so we don't get confused. Okay, let's go back to green. Okay, 0.54 ounces. So we got 10.8 ounces. So which number should we, 425 per pound? Which number should we change to get our units to be the same?
10.8.
Why would we change 10.8?
I just rethought about it. So we changed the $4.25 pound because I just quickly realized because I went back on the punch no because we only need 20 strips. Because if we do in pounds, that's too much bacon. Is that correct?
Well, somewhat. So will it be easier? Will it be easier to convert this 10.8 ounces into the number of pounds that we need? Or would it be easier to change the 425 into the cost of 1 ounce? Which one would be easier?
10.8.
No, no. It's really hard, right? It's really hard to figure out what of a pound is 10.8 ounces. Okay, but it's really easy. We know that there's 16 ounces in a pound, right?
Yeah.
So we can easily just divide by 16 ounces and we get the cost per ounce. And now our units make the same. Okay. Now just look at the screen for a moment. Let's see, what do I want? $16 ounces divided by 10.8 ounces. Oops, hold on. 10.8 ounces divided by 16. That's 0.675 of a pound. That's a really weird decimal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's easier to convert the cost of the pound per ounce. So let me show you real quick one other thing. Another situation. Okay. We know that 1 pound equals 16 ounces, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if this line here is 1 pound, this is 1 pound, 4 ounces, right? 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 16, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what is 1/4 as a decimal?
One quarter as a decimal.
If you're not sure, you can put it in your calculator. 1 divided by 4.
One divided by 4. 0.25.
Yeah. Okay. And so then 8 ounces, 1/2 would be 0.5. 3/2 or 3/4, I should say, sorry. 3/4 is 0.75. And 1 pound is 1.0. So the reason why I'm showing you this is because our AP was 4.25 per pound, right?
Yes.
For the bacon. If it had come out that it was if it was 3/4, right? If it was 12 ounces, then you could have very easily have just said it's 0.75 pounds. So in that way case, it would be appropriate to change the recipe side to this decimal of 0.75 because that's a very even number. It's a very what's the word I'm looking for? It's something that you can easily do in your head. 10.8 ounces, though, that's not a number that you can easily convert into a pound. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So again, all of these situations are things that you're going to get used to, kind of have to train your mind to think about. And sometimes, I mean, I have 20 years of experience working, and so sometimes it's easier for my brain to see that because I've worked with it in the past. If you haven't worked with it, then this is your time to get exposed to it and then eventually use that in the future, just like you did previously for the chives, right? Once you realize this is how you do it for this ingredient, you can do that for the chives as well. So that's the whole purpose of this project, is to give you lots of practice of seeing these ingredients.
So with that, the way we fill out for page, so I still put $106.06 for the purchase cost. Is that
Correct. Yep. Yep.
And then for the purchase amount is 25 pounds. I put also correct.
Correct. Yes.
And then the recipe unit cost, I put $4.25. That's also correct.
Nope, because you have to make them the same. If this is 10.8 ounces in your recipe amount, then your recipe unit cost has to be the same. So it has to be the cost per ounce, because like you said before, you cannot multiply. If it's 4.25 per pound, you can't multiply that by 10.8 ounces because the units don't match.
Okay. When I divided the $4.25 with 16, I got I got 0.265, and we round up to the next penny, so it'll be 0.27.
Okay, so 27 cents per ounce. Okay.
And the amount that we needed, is that where I put, is that also where I put the 10.8 ounces? Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. You changed the 20 strips to 10.8 ounces.
Of course, multiply 0.27 times 10.8 ounces, and I got $2.91, but we still convert that, so that would be $3. Is that correct?
Nope, because $3 would be rounded to the nearest dollar. We only need to round to the nearest penny.
So it'll be $2.92.
Correct.
And it's also the only recipe that's going to be like that, like how the bacon is. Like we have to divide with the purchase cost, like the $106.06. We divide that by 25, and we get our $4.25 pound, and divide by that 16 in order to make it as the same as like 10.8 ounces.
No, that's not the only recipe. I know you're gonna use it, I think, in the red onions. In the vegetables. I think the red onions also uses the same concept.
Okay. What else? I also pulled up the butter section because I get that long as well. And I also noticed that assignment too. I also mentioned because there's another assignment that requires all the recipe that we did before.
Yeah.
So that's why I was also making sure that I'm of course doing the center what I'm doing right now, but I'm also going back to assignment what I made wrong. So I am trying hard to make sure I get like at least every the recipe like correct.
Right.
For when that recipe comes by.
Yeah.
Butter. So for the butter, and of course this is like unsalted butter. So the price for the butter is $91.80, 1 pound.
No. Read that again. In the Chef Tech inventory list. Resume. Okay, cool. So we're looking for butter unsalted. Okay, so what does it say for butter unsalted?
The butter unsalted is $90, $91.80 slash 36 1 pound. Okay.
Yeah, so that means I'm buying 36 1 pound blocks of butter, right? When you go to HEB and you buy butter, you're buying it by the pound. And what that's telling me is that there's 36 of them in that box. So how much butter do we buy? This $98 for how many pounds?
1 pound?
Nope,
36 pounds?
36 pounds. Yep. And what's the recipe amount?
The recipe calls, and this is where I'm also get real confused. It calls 5 1/3 ounce.
Okay. So what is confusing you about 5 1/3 ounce?
Um, what confused me about it is that I just never seen that number before, like in ounces. So that completely threw me off. And
Okay.
I also had another question was like, how do I turn this ounces into pounds, or do I turn the 36 pounds into ounces?
Okay, so which one do you think would be easier to do based on our previous conversation?
The 36 pounds?
Correct. Yep. Okay. So I'm not going to give you 5 1/3 ounces. I'm going to do another exercise, okay? So then you can apply it. If I have a number that's 2 3/4 ounces, how do I write that as a decimal? Okay, so what we want to look at is think about this is a whole number, right?
Yes.
And then the fraction is part of a number, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is where the decimal goes. So 2 is the whole number, the decimal, and then what is 3/4 as a decimal?
What was the question, sir?
How do I represent 3/4 or 3/4 as a decimal?
Do we by 2 by 3/4?
Okay, but what is 3/4 as a decimal number? 3/4 is a fraction, but what is it as a decimal? Remember, anytime you see a fraction like this, okay, anytime you see a fraction like this, literally write it in your calculator, 3 divided by 4, and that's going to give you a decimal.
Okay. It'll be 0.75.
Okay, so that 3/4 is 0.75, and then you just bring the 2 down because that's the whole number. Let's do one more practice. How would you write? Let's do a different color. Okay. So I don't want red because I already told you red means wrong. Okay. So how would you write 7 5/8 as a decimal number?
Um, First we bring the 7 down,
Okay, good.
and then we divide 5 by 8.
Okay, and what do you get for 5 divided by 8?
0.625.
There we go. So 7 5/8 is 7.625. Okay. So now let's apply these two examples up here to the 5 1/3.
Okay. So, so I already divide $91.80.
Hold on, stop for a second. Stop for a second. Okay. What we're working on right now is this 5 1/3 ounces. What is that as a decimal?
As a decimal, we bring down the 5.
Yep.
And I divide one by 3. 1 by 3. And it comes up to 0.333.
Okay, cool. Excellent. So now we have 5.33 ounces. And now we can continue moving forward with what we're going to do to convert down to the cost of 1 ounce.
Okay.
Okay. So I want you to try that. Now that you have this format set up, go ahead and try that. And whatever answer you get at the very end over here, once you multiply, whatever answer that get, go ahead and put that into the quiz and or tell me what answer you get first of all. And then since you're having internet issues, just tell me what answer you get for the cost and I'll put it into my quiz to see, we'll test your answer, okay? I'm going to pause the recording right now while you work on that.
I divide $91.80 by 36. And that equals $2.55.
Okay, per what?
Per pound.
Okay, cool. And then?
And what I remember before, we're trying to get ounces, so we divide $2.55 by 16 ounces.
Okay, good.
And that gives us 0.16 ounces.
Okay, so not 0.16 ounces. It gives us 16 cents per ounce. But yes, you're on the right track. Okay.
Yeah, 16 ounces. And then we multiply 16 ounces by 5.33 ounces, and that equals 86 cents.
You got it right on. Okay. Good job. I didn't put it in the quiz, but that's the same number that I got. So chances are that's the same answer for the quiz.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. A lot of good work, a lot of good improvement today.
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. We'll talk to you soon. If you have any other questions, I'll be on office hours tomorrow, or you can send me email again. Just send me a picture of your work, and I'll be able to give you feedback on that.
All right, sir. Will you also send this recording to me as well?
I sure will. Yep.
Thank you, sir. And
You're welcome. You too. Bye-bye.